The big debate: do genetics play a factor in becoming a pro player, and how much of a factor do they play? Some people seem to think they are a driving factor of if you're going to see success or not, and some people think it's just complete made up nonsense. And if you were to be honest, hearing this debate low-key freaks you out because you're investing so much of your life into this, and imagine if it was all just a waste of time because you ended up failing due to bad genetics. You want answers. Do you have the genetics to go pro? Do genetics exist in professional gaming? When do you figure out if you have good genetics? It's all just so confusing, and there seems to be no end to that confusion. While luckily for you, I have the answers you want, and I am able to put that confusion to a stop. So first of all, do genetics exist that have an effect on your Fortnite gameplay? While we know according to studies that intelligence and reflexes are different for different people from birth, and you can obviously argue that being smarter and having faster reflexes is an advantage, right? So yeah, genetics do help, but they don't help as much as you think. Let me explain. So first of all, a faster reaction time compared to a slower reaction time is obviously better, but it's not as useful as you think in Fortnite, because most of your success comes from your smart plays, rotates, and game sense, etc. There's only a few moments in tournaments where reacting 0.1 seconds faster would have actually helped you out just a little bit. Now yeah, you could possibly argue that IQ and intelligence plays a massive factor in going pro in Fortnite, and is genetic because different people are born with different IQs. But then as long as you aren't low IQ, you can just work on your IQ until it's at a good point. But anyways, this leads on to my next point. Even if you were to have the worst genetics possible, you can still become a decent pro player. Let me explain. Let's just assume that genetics do play a massive factor in seeing Fortnite success in this scenario. So now there's two things that will make you go pro: your genetics and how hard/efficiently you work. If you have a good balance of both, you'll become a decent pro. But if you have one side kinda low and the other side really high, you'll still become a decent pro. Just like top pro sports players like LeBron, Messi, and so on, they had both levels super high, as in they had the best genetics ever, and they also worked more hard and more efficiently than anyone else too. They wouldn't have been able to be pro if they didn't have one, the best genetics in the world, and second of all, they didn't work harder than anyone else. So back to Fortnite, if genetics do play a big factor in going pro, with bad genetics you might not be able to be a top pro, but you can still become a solid top 1000 pro worldwide, as long as you balance out your bad genetics with a lot of hard and efficient work put in. But anyways, at the end of all this, there's something I realized actually many years ago when I was still grinding Fortnite competitive, that even if genetics do play a big factor in going pro, it's better to either be wrong, just brainwashing yourself into thinking they don't play a factor at all, or brainwashing yourself into thinking that you already have the best genetics possible. Because if you let yourself believe two things: one, that genetics do play a big factor in going pro in Fortnite, and two, that you might not actually have the best genetics, you will start to make excuses, even if it is just subconsciously being less harsh on yourself. So what I did is literally tell myself that genetics do not matter at all. And that way I believed that all my failures were actually 100% my fault, which actually served me. Even if genetics did play a massive factor in determining whether I will go pro or not, it was literally way better that I believed it didn't, because I got way further than I would have if I believed genetics did play a big factor.